Rama 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 Bhagwan Shri Yogi Ramsuratkumar ki Jai. Sarvam Yogi Ramsuratkumara Pranamastu. We offer endless, grateful pranams at the feet of Bhagwan for this one more opportunity to sing his powerful name. We have to celebrate this opportunity because this is no small grace that we are able to chant together this powerful name. Every day we have been seeing some incident or the other, some happening which depicts the glory of His grace, the glory of His name. Today also we shall see a few incidents Shri Subramaniam and Kamala from Dindigul, a couple very devoted to Bhagwan. And I have seen quite a few times at the very mention of Bhagwan's Nama or some incident connected with Bhagwan, Shri Subramaniam's eyes would fill up. He would immediately melt, and there would be tears coming from his eyes. Such is his devotion. One day they were singing, they were sitting there in the house, both a husband and wife, singing the Nama, 7:30 to 8:30. And then suddenly, halfway through, Shri Subramaniam felt somebody walking in the adjacent room. The puja room was very small. The adjacent room, rather big, and he felt somebody walking up and down. So when there was a gap, he asked his wife if she locked the gate so that nobody could come in, because they were absorbed in singing the name. To which Kamala replied, yes, yes, of course, I have locked it. So after that again, they continued singing. And again, both of them this time felt the footsteps of somebody walking up and down in the next room. And suddenly they looked at each other and they rushed out to see if there was anybody in the room. There was no one visible. And they checked up, the gate was still locked. Nobody had entered, and yet there were very clear sound of the footsteps of someone walking up and down. Again, they sang together, and again they heard it. And suddenly, in a flash, they knew who had been walking up and down. It was this feeling in the depth of the heart. It's a truth. They knew instantly in the depth of their heart. It was he, being drawn by the devotion, the devotional singing, had come down to their place and was walking up and down, listening to their singing. Naturally, they were overwhelmed. They were ecstatic. This is what Nama Sankeertan does. An involved Nama Sankeertan does. Now there's another scene we shall see. In Chennai, the Premika Bhavan of Shri Muralidhara Swamiji, two young girls were asked to sing the name Yogi Ramsuratkumar by Shri Guruji himself. They had to do it for 48 days. So these young girls, with such devotion, they were chanting this mantra, Yogi Ramsuratkumar, Yogi Ramsuratkumar, Yogi Ramsuratkumar Jaya Guraya, for 48 days. And they saw, to their delight, absolute delight and surprise, the impressions of a coconut shell and a hand fan on the ceiling. The impressions were so clear, it did not need any imagination to complete it. It was so obvious, so visible, so clear. This is another manifestation of Bhagwan's listening to the Nama Sankeertan. So they happily informed Shri Guruji how their Nama Sankeertan invited the impressions of Bhagwan's emblems. Shri Guruji was very happy about it. Now we should shift to another scene. In Villivakam, Shri Srinivasan, his wife Rajalakshmi, they were planning to come to Tiruvannamalai for Bhagwan's Darshan. But then there was so much theft in the area where they lived. They were going to start in the evening, so just before they started, Rajalakshmi, Srinivasan's wife, she put a chair right in the middle of the front room and put Bhagwan's picture there and said to Bhagwan, pray to Bhagwan, Bhagwan, there is so much theft in the area. You have to look after our house. We are coming to Tiruvannamalai for your darshan. Please take care. After this prayer, they locked up the house. They rushed to Tiruvannamalai. And then they stayed the night in Tiruvannamalai, and then the whole day, morning darshan, evening darshan. And then they started late in the evening, landed at their doorstep at midnight, around 1 o'clock. The next day morning, they were living upstairs. The next day morning, the downstairs family, those people reported, they asked them where they went and who had come to their house in the night, the previous night. They said, nobody, We had locked the room, we had locked the house and gone. Then they said the whole night they could not sleep because somebody was walking up and down, up and down. There was a thud of the steps of the person who was walking, and sometimes intermittently they could also hear the tap of a Palmyra fan on the wall. And sometimes they heard singing of Ramna. And they said it was a little frightening for us. And then we could not sleep the whole night. Who came? He said nobody could have come. And then they knew from the description it was Bhagwan himself. Then Rajalakshmi remembered putting the chair and putting Bhagwan's picture, saying, praying, please take care. My God. When they had spent time with Bhagwan there in Tiruvannamalai, he had come in a subtle body, was walking up and down the whole night, singing Ramna. And the downstairs people could also hear the tap of the hand fan on the wall. What a wonder. They were absolutely overwhelmed, thinking how Bhagwan had blessed them. There's a scene in a house in Pondicherry. The lady of the house had forgotten to lock the door. And when she returned, she found cigarette butts. She did not pray to Bhagwan to look after her or anything. But then when she came back, she found then suddenly she knew that she had left it open and she had not locked it. That Bhagwan, despite her mistake, had taken it into his heart to come and safeguard it. Now that's a very, very interesting scene. Now let us shift to Aruppukottai. The family of Chandrashekar, they are all devoted to Bhagwan. It was 2004. The family had this transport business. They were running this business, transport business. And there was partition. And after that, the whole lot of people, the whole family had come to Tiruvannamalai ashramam for Kumbabhishekam. But just before they started, the eldest son of Chandrashekar, Shri Sharavanan, prayed to Bhagwan. They had put a watchman for the house because nobody was going to be there. They were all here in the ashram. So they had put a watchman there. And then in the shed, there was a structure of 3 rooms with doors in between. One room leading to another, to another. There were doors in between, and then each room had a window also. Small rooms, like 8 by 9 or something. And they had a watchman there for the shed also. And the watchman was a Christian. Pandian by name, was a Christian. So just before Saravanan left the place, he prayed to Bhagwan. Bhagwan, our whole family depend only upon you. We live in you. We are thinking of you all the time. We have surrendered everything to you. Our business is not picking up because we have old buses and people are not getting inside. And therefore there's a setback in business. You have to take care of it. You have to do something. And again, Bhagwan, all of us are going to the ashram. We are coming there to your place to attend your Kumbabhishekam. So please take care. Please safeguard. Because in one room, they would keep the safe, that is, the cash box was there, and nearly 60,000 would be there. The rest of the money would be deposited in the bank, but there would be as much as 60,000 in a box there in one of the rooms. So Saravanan prayed to Bhagwan, Bhagwan, please take care. And then they all came to Tiruvannamalai. 2 days after, Saravanan returned. When he returned, this Christian Pandian was standing there, and there was a strange look on his face. Pandian said, Ayya, sir, something happened in your absence. I still cannot believe it. Saravanan asked him, without any excitement, what is it? Because he knew that there were people, workers, who tried to please them by some kind of concoction of stories. So he said, yes, what happened? He said, about 12 o'clock in the night, the day you people left, 12 o'clock, I was just sleeping outside. I was lying down outside, and suddenly I heard somebody walking up and down in the room. So I peeped in. There's a window. I saw somebody walking, and immediately I ran to the next window and looked in. And again he was walking, and again ran to the, and he walked up to the end of the third room, and then he was returning. So he was walking up and down, up and down, up and down from one end of this room to the other end, the third room. The whole length. Somebody was walking. When I peeped in, I got a glimpse of him. He had white hair hanging loose, and there was a carelessly thrown turban. Part of it was hanging down the shoulders. What was more, he was wearing a shawl. And then when he walked up to one end, when I ran and had a peep in, I saw him turning, kind of swirling, with just one leg. And what was more, he just threw the shawl on his shoulder in a certain way, and for a second, for a fraction of a second, I caught the glimpse of his face, and then something happened to me. There was horripilation. It was no ordinary face, it was no ordinary man, because I saw this one walking through the doors. He did not open the door, there were doors closed in between the rooms. He simply walked through the door. From one end of the first room, from the beginning of the first room, he walked up to the end of the third room. I saw the shawl. I had seen a photograph. I vaguely remembered. And then I felt it was he. Sir, I'm a Christian. Is it possible that he could give darshan to me? What did I do to deserve it? But then I could very clearly see him walking up and down. And the way he turned after reaching one end, his shawl, it kind of flew and spread. And I saw the face. And the man was naturally ecstatic. He was overwhelmed. He said, sir, something really happened to me. Is it possible? I'm only a Christian. Then Saravanan, halfway through the narration, he was keeping quiet, thinking that the watchman was probably trying to please him with such stories. But then when he described the way Bhagwan turned and threw the shawl and the face, he knew instantly it was truly Bhagwan, and he remembered praying to Bhagwan before leaving. Bhagwan, please take care. Imagine. Just relive this experience. Put yourself in the place of that watchman and see Bhagwan walking through the doors. This is our Bhagwan, Yogi Ramsuratkumar, at mere prayer. Bhagwan, please take care. And you see how he took care in each case. And what was more, Saravanan was saying that after that, see, they were looking for some, they could not buy, they did not have money to afford new buses, but they had only old buses and people were hesitant to board it. So there was a setback in business, and they were trying to look for some old buses and give them a new facelift so that they would look new and people, the business would pick up. But then they were just not getting it. And that was when Bhagwan, Tharun prayed to Bhagwan, Bhagwan, please do something, we depend upon you. And now, after this incident, suddenly there was a call from somebody they knew, and they said there are 2 buses here for sale, old buses. Somehow he felt inspired of Saravanan. He rushed to the place with 2 drivers, and he saw 2 brand new buses. They were old buses, but they looked very new because the owner had maintained them well. So well, they looked new. And there was the Muslim who was the manager there. He said, these 2 are for sale. If you want, you can take them. Then he said, we want only 1. We have money only for 1. We don't have money for 2. Then the Muslim manager spoke to the owner, and as soon as the owner came to know that it was Chandrashekar from Chandra Transports, wanting to buy both, but they didn't have money. They had money only for 1. He said, oh, that's Brother Chandran. That's okay. We will talk about money later on. Let them take both the buses. And the buses ran very well. The business picked up very well. Thanks to Bhagwan's grace, a specific grace, the embodiment of grace. Now we shall shift once again to Dindigul. Subramaniam had something more to narrate. He said, in his office there was one Murugan, very nice man, very, very obedient, very cultured in his behavior towards people. He used to be very cheerful also, but one day his face was drawn and he looked a little upset. And then Subramaniam asked him, why? What happened? Then he said his wife was not well, that she was unable to sleep in the night. And then Murugan narrated that there was a lady living in the opposite house. She used to be very close to his wife, and she would more often only in their house. So they moved with each other very closely, but then something happened, some untoward incident, and the opposite house lady was in deathbed. His wife sat by her side and saw her dying. And after that, something happened. She was unable to sleep. She was restless the whole night. She was going through some kind of agony and sleeplessness. Then Subramaniam gave him a photo of Bhagwan and some ashes, Vibhuti, and said, you keep this photograph of Yogi Ramsuratkumar Bhagwan under her pillow in the night, and then you spread this bhasma, you spread these ashes round the room. Let us see what happens. Bhagwan will take care. Don't worry, take care. And then the next day morning, Murugan came running and said, there was peace on his face, and he said, "Sir, my wife slept well yesterday. I did exactly as you said. My wife slept nicely." And then he said, he continued, the picture of Bhagwan was permanently under the pillow, and then he was spreading this Vibhuti all round the room. And after 10 days, Subramaniam ran into him on the street. And Murugan was very busy carrying a big photograph of Bhagwan. And then Subramaniam asked him about his wife, and Murugan said, for the past 10 days, there was no worry, she was not upset, she was not restless, she slept very well, so I am taking this for lamination. Bhagwan will be with us permanently. So this is the grace of Bhagwan, what his grace can do. Now that Bhagwan is here right in front of us with a smile on his lips and a hand raised in benediction. Bhagwan who really took care because the devotees in different circumstances pray to him to take care. Now that Bhagwan will surely take care of this world also today. All we have to do is appeal to his boundless grace, boundless compassion. Bhagwan, beloved Bhagwan, we seek your immediate divine intervention to free this entire humanity from the clutches of this Rakshasic virus,